where do we have Sergio? Oh, this is awesome.
Hello, Sergio.
You don't see us. No, I'm super excited to be here with all of you today. As Perez mentioned, I'm Laura Gaviria. I'm part of the SoftBank Latin American Fund. Today, it's the largest fund dedicated to the region with $8 billion. We have over 50 companies in our portfolio. 15 of those are now unicorns. So more and more, I'm not only blessed with all of you who have fund-founded unicorns, but now in Latin America, it's almost a thing that you're blessed to be surrounded by unicorns and soonicorns too. So with that, I want to listen from all of you on a little bit on how you started and how you founded your first company. So Jose, let's start with you.
Well, let's talk. Sergio, how are you? From long time we talk. Well, the idea is what I started is I would like to say that what I learned with the unicorn. One thing people say about unicorn, you believe, wow, fantastic, but you have to do a good job. So I used to joke that we made a lot of mistakes, we did the good things, more good things than mistakes. That's the point. And it's the secret behind what I learned creating GetNet and now leading For All is it's three secrets. It's more important. It's innovation. You need to have a good idea with fast, but you need to have great people, great execution, and great culture. So what I learned is with GetNet, I'm using now to create For All. It's to see how to create these people, to create this team, to create this job. So. No one can create a great business alone. So you need to create a great team to create your business. So that's what I learned with GetNet. And I could say at least 100 people that participate with this with GetNet, and more than 100 people, I would say, for all. And that's the main point for me.
Cool. Martin, you're one of the earliest unicorns that we have in Latin America. How did you guys came up with the idea, and how did the ecosystem work in that time?
First, the name unicorn wasn't there when we started the company.
It didn't exist.
Yes, it was. So we started in 2003, and nobody talks about unicorn at that time. But we are four founders of the company. We're still in the company, 4 engineers in our early 30s. And from day one, we had the idea of how to transform our idea in something really big. We didn't know at that time what being big means. No? That's true. We didn't know. At the end of the first year, remember we made our goal, our forecast was like, okay, let's try to make $300,000 during the first year. And we made $200,000 just the last month of the year. So the next year, we made like 3 million. And from that, we start growing really very fast. The point is that when you start growing and you feel that you have something important in your hands, is what's going to be your reaction. Do you want to go for more, or are you going to transform that in a lifestyle and stay there? And that's a decision that you have to make, or at least a decision that you make almost every day. Every decision that you are taking is going to be important for that future. Jose talked about what people are you going to hire. You're going to hire people that are really good, that can work with you on that, or you're going to just hire what you can pay, and that's important. I remember that at that time, we hired people that made much more than us, than the founders. I remember, that's funny, going to London where we had let's say, an account manager. And when we arrived with Martin Migoya, the CEO of the company, and one of my partners. We arrived there, and he received us in a very plush, I think it was a Mercedes or an Audi, and I think at that time I have like a Fiat in Buenos Aires. And Martin told me, "What's wrong here? You know, he's driving an Audi, I'm driving a Fiat." So, but when you really want to go big, that's something that doesn't matter to you, because we think that at some moment you are going to make it. I think that to have a purpose, to have a dream, is really important when you want to make something big. And that's, in few words, the history of Globant, a history of thinking big, making teams, and always be prepared for the next step.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the major shifts that we've seen in Latin America, right? That we have more and more entrepreneurs thinking big. I remember a few years ago that you talked to an entrepreneur, they wanted to conquer, I'm from Colombia, so they wanted to conquer Colombia. And now you really see all of them want to conquer the world, if not the region, just the world. So it's really impressive, that mind shift. And that's one of the main reasons we invested for sure in someone like Sergio. He had this huge vision from day one. So Sergio, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you started Quereditas?
Yeah, so thank you, Laura. Thank you for hosting. I think that at the end of the day, having like a big dream was not something that we were scared of. I remember my first Excel. It was like something like, sorry, I'm hearing myself here, so I'm just having problems. I'm gonna take this out. So in my first Excel, I was supposed to be having something like like $1 million in revenues per year in year one, and then after a year and a half, my revenues were literally at 50,000. So definitely like dreaming too big. And at that point in 2012, I was one of those guys coming from the corporate world. Met my wife when I was in New York. She was Brazilian, and then I made a connection. Okay, so what's going on in Brazil? Started looking at financial services in Latin America, and I saw a huge opportunity. And that was like a pretty obvious one in retrospect. But at that point, no one was talking about fintech. It was definitely not a theme. And but it was like I guess as an entrepreneur, at least in my case, first time entrepreneur, I was scared to death of like failing. And at the end of the day, you look backwards, and it was the obvious thing that was going to happen. Failing, it was the highest probability. And going to a different country and trying to become an entrepreneur there, I think it's a bit like liberating, because if you fail, nobody's looking at you that much. I think that your friends were not around, your family was in a different country, and that was like that was like a nice thing to do. But going back to some of the things that I think Jose spoke about, so purpose is really like something that drives you in thinking big and in really connecting the dots and trying to find out why is he. And you are working sleepless night, and you're like not getting like a paycheck for years, while you're paying to your employees much more than that. And at the end of the day, I think that as entrepreneurs we find like two types of purposes. One, which is the maybe economic impact, social impact, and things like that. In our case, how can we deliver a better financial product for the Latin American population? But then you also have like a more like intrinsic purpose of trying to build something with your hands. It was like something that I had never experienced before. It used to be like, the guy in the corporate side, always like a nice brand logo. That was the one that was setting for me. And I was just like a piece in the machinery. I think the wonderful thing about entrepreneurship is really rediscovering yourself and building something by yourself.
Yeah, we have one of the executive members of the Opportunity Fund that says that the cool thing about technology is that you can come up with the idea and create something of value, and that's equalizer for everyone. So that's how special it is. So you all talk about the importance of having like a very big vision to start. How did you sell that initial vision to the first employee so that they would join you? Was it easy? How did it work for you, for example, Jose?
It's really interesting. You have to show to the employees the dream, and I would say that you have to put everybody in the island and burn the ship, not bring to the ship and let's go together. No, it's more important to go deep and have to put the employees in their dream and amplify the participation for more people you can, to put everybody as partners, not just employees. That's the most important thing to create, because there is no superhero. It's, you have to create complementary skills, and if you, to deal with this, that's the point. If you have a good idea, you have to at least 3 or 4 or 5 people thinking together and dreaming together to build the dream.
Yeah, and I think I might have used even the wrong word, because in the beginning they're really not employees. So,
yes.
So for example, Martin, how did you manage that?
No, you must think about 2003, Buenos Aires. it's just 17 years ago, but things like totally different world, you know. I think that at the very first time when we communicate to our people what we wanted to do, I think they believed that we were crazy, totally nuts, and I didn't know why they believe us. I remember that there are people that when we start distributing stock options to our people, some of them, they said, what's that? What's this? I don't want this. No, please, take it. It's money. I don't think, no, you don't want to pay us. So I think that today that's easier, you know. I think that the entrepreneurial ecosystem has grown so much that today having that conversation is more than that. People say, hey, you're not going to give me stock options. How am I going to be part of the capital of this company? It's a different conversation. I think that even very young professionals from university, they are thinking on doing that. I think this is very, very good. But at that time, that was completely different. But the ones that believe in us, that still believe in our view, I think are the ones that keep that entrepreneurial spirit in the company. It's so important.
Yeah, no, and that's super important. I think now it's easier because you've seen a lot of more tech startups. In your case, Sergio, what has been like some of the key things that have been significantly different of being an entrepreneur from when you started or where others are starting today?
Well, I think it's completely different. Yeah, so today you have like a bunch of companies doing like very cool things. The competitive environment today in Brazil is huge. Everyone has humongous visions about, you know, how they're going to be reshaping the world, and they just have just like a PowerPoint at this point, which is astonishing. I mean, I remember back in those days, like almost 10 years ago, I mean, if I had come with, hey, we're going to be reshaping the banking industry, everyone would have said, this is like a crazy guy. And actually, that's what everyone was saying. So we ended up like adjusting ourselves and saying, let's go like one step at a time. And I think it's even like quite important. It was quite important in those days because we really didn't know exactly what the vision was. And just now that nobody's like listening to us, we didn't have like a very clear view of how we were going to be reshaping things. We were looking. I think that this is important. I mean, most of the times you don't have the answer, and we need to be humble as entrepreneurs. We just need to share some ideas with our teams, making sure that they contribute to that, to the building of that vision. I think that's very cool as well. So at that point, what we had was a huge market, but just that. And then we had like some thesis, so why don't we try this and why don't we try that? And then you were trying those things and none of them were working. And I think that if you become like a guy that is like, hey, I know exactly what we're going to be heading towards, I have the crystal ball, the world is going to be working like this, then probably you're going to be failing. It's something that I feel that we need to teach the teams. And that was definitely valid at that point, but it's also valid today. It's say, you know what, the entrepreneur is just like a normal person. We really don't know everything, and we're just fine with that. Back in those days, I remember telling to the guys, the developers, hey, why do we really want to invest in mobile? That was 2012, the early innings of mobile in Latin America. Why do we really want to invest in mobile? We do home equity loans. Those are like huge loans, right? So it's like, $200,000. Nobody's gonna close a loan with us in a mobile device. Just doesn't make like any sense. Thanks God the team was empowered so that they could like actually invest and do things, because today is 95% of our business coming from mobile devices. And that's the result of teams experimenting and not really taking care that much about what the founder is saying. So somehow I feel that what we need to be is like people in terms of like creating like a culture, really sharing the aggressiveness, the way that we think, the fact that we actually can empower them and make change happen, but not necessarily saying exactly what they need to. I think that's definitely a mistake.
Yeah, and definitely the mobile penetration in our countries is one of the most important forces behind all this growth. And as you were mentioning, Martin, a lot of things have changed since you started in 2003. People are much willing to take a job in a startup, start a new company, things like that, that in the beginning, people would definitely think they should be doctors or bankers or something super traditional. So definitely all of those things have changed. There's more capital that is coming to the region. But what are those still very complicated things that are happening in the ecosystem that we would need to solve in Latin America to continue seeing this growth? Let's start with you, Martin.
I think that one thing that should be more developed is the capital markets in our region. I think that companies still must go like Globant being public in New York instead of being public in your country. I think there's a lot of history around that, but I think a more vibrant capital market is important. Today, there are a lot of VCs, private equity, people investing there, but this is one thing. The second one is, I think that even when all these activities have been promoted a lot, there is still some reluctancy about people making themselves, let's say, very wealthy, and say, oh, what's happening with them? There is something wrong. I think that cultural thing must be removed. It's going, if your company's value has a high valuation, and you are making a lot of money out of that, that's very good for everybody. Not just for you, for sure. It's good for you, but it's not the reason because you are doing that, because there are a lot of ways to make money, but I think to change that vision is important. And I think that's the truth. The third is that we need to continue fostering entrepreneurial spirit and also more people studying careers that are related to IT, to marketing, to the digital things that are all around. That's the third thing.
Yeah, and definitely the capital markets is something that needs to evolve. And as you were saying, maybe a lot of the population is seeing others getting kind of wealthy because of that. So I think we also need a lot of local capital going into venture capital so that they can experience all this growth. And I think that's part of one of the key things that we're missing. Jose, you moved from GetNet to now having For All, which is at the end of the day like a hub to incubate companies, right? Or invest in different type of companies. What has been some of the key things that you focus on supporting those companies that you believe are important?
Well, when we start For All 5 years ago, the knowledge about digital and the platform ecosystem, all these words, it's weird to say, but 5 years ago, it seems to be like a strange words for almost for everybody. And that's why we decided to create For All, to help people, especially real economy, to go digital. And because when I start For All, we look to the born digital big techs in the US, and all of them, they had to create their own platforms. So if we create a platform to help enterprise companies to go digital, so data-driven solutions, marketplace solutions, fintech solutions, so we create this platform, and through this platform, we are helping companies from the beginning, creating from the discovery. In fact, everybody would like to go digital, but they don't know how. So the first thing that we are doing is to creating the first phase is discovery, to help them. And in some cases, we are repeating what we learned with the partnership with Santander, with GetNet. We are creating vertical business together with a real economy. So in entertainment, food service, this kind of business. So we are doing just two things: creating platforms for our clients, or creating vertical business together with clients. That's the idea, because it's completely different. Because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the Latin American market started to understand the movement. So it's becoming really much better now than it was 5 years ago. It was completely difficult to explain what is the platform, what ecosystem. Now I believe that market's really better to do this job.
Cool. So one of the things that I'm more passionate about in Latin America is the people, right? So we see amazing founders, super resourceful. How do you see it, for example, Sergio, from a startup perspective? How incredible is the talent or not? What are we missing? Like, how do you see the talent aspect in LATAM?
Yeah, well, I mean, we build companies that at the end of the day are more and not less than putting together people and making sure that those guys actually take care of our customers and reinvent certain aspects of our daily lives. And talent is the essence of corporations and more importantly, of startups. When I think the biggest difficulty that we face in Latin America is not about the quality of the talent, it's about like the experience that they have had in really ramping up companies very fast. If you go back to Silicon Valley, New York, maybe London, Israel, there are hubs that have had like maybe some decades of a track record in starting up and building and scaling, which is the most important factor, I would say. Scaling companies to make it to like 1,000 people, like 10,000 people. The how to do that, it's not that easy. And I guess that today one of the biggest challenges that we face is finding a woman, finding a man that know how to grow from 1,000 employees to 2,000 employees to 5,000 employees in just a couple of years, and making sure that they preserve certain traits of the culture, but they just adapt that culture as well, and that they have the mentality of I mean, everyone is talking about you, you are in the newspapers, but still they keep themselves humble and their teams humble as well. Obviously, that is a difficulty that we face in Latin America. It's not about like, okay, I'm gonna hire a bank executive, which has been like having direct reports of, 10 guys supervising an organization of 10,000 people. That doesn't work, because those organizations, they grow 10% per year, and we grow 15% per month. And that's a different dynamic. And finding that talent is critical. On the other side, the fact that you have some scarcity, it makes it possible to actually create competitive advantage. So if you crack the code on how to find guys and teach them and train them and adapt them to an ever-changing environment, that actually can differentiate you vis-a-vis competitors. So that's also the reason why when you look at Latin America and you go to a specific sector, you don't see 20 players attacking the same problem. You see 2 or 3. There are 2 reasons for that. One is you don't have like enough talent. So really there's like a concentration of talent around like certain companies. And 2, you don't have still enough capital. Yes, it has grown massively, but we are still in the early innings. So the concentration of capital and talent really makes like an amazing opportunity if you are able to attract the capital and attract the talent and just reinvent those. So I think I always have like mixed feelings with this. I would love to have the same pool of talent that you could find in the US or Europe, but if I had that, my competitor also would have that, so that makes my life a bit complicated.
Yeah, and the talent that startups need to find, it's a unicorn in itself, no? So it's super entrepreneurial, ambitious, humble, and in addition, that fits your particular culture. So it's a challenge on itself, and as you say, a moat. But I think no one knows better than Globant on how the talent piece works in LATAM. How have you seen that, and what are we still missing to have enough talent with the right experience in our region?
Okay, the region is still young on this, but at the same time, that's an opportunity and an advantage, because we are creating quality jobs in the region, a lot of that. You know, we have 20,000 people in the world. I don't know, but let's say north of 10,000 in Latin America, and we didn't steal any project or business for anyone. All what we are doing is going to Europe or to America and to work with the largest customers in the world. and recruiting, training people in Latin America to perform that job. So I think we have a big opportunity to keep on that and to go on training more and more people, bring it to here in a region that there are not so many opportunities. So this is the challenge and the opportunity that we have there, And Globant is clearly an example of that. And I hope that much more companies want to do the same, because there are a lot of space in the world for talent Latin American people.
How many people do you currently have in LATAM?
Maybe 14,000, around that.
That's incredible.
Yes, it is. No, we started in Colombia just 5 years ago, I think, or 5 or 6 or 8 maybe, but it doesn't matter. And today we have like 5,000 people there, and not just in Bogota, Medellin, in Cali, in a lot of different cities of the country.
Yeah, I might be biased, but Colombian talent is the best.
It's very good.
But Jose, now let's go to you guys personally. So now, for example, what do you personally do to support the startup ecosystem? Because that's one of the coolest things about being in this world is it's all about paying it forward. So what do you do personally to support the new founders, the new startups?
It's important to share what happened, and I'm a part of Endeavor in Brazil. So around 30, 40 companies, I talk to them and to understand what's the challenges that they need to face, and to help to do the best decisions, because especially when the startup is young, some decisions could be really, really, really important. So I'm doing that every year, around 30 startups I help, and now I'm helping the government of the state of the government of the state of Rio Grande do Sul and this Porto Alegre city to connect with the global economy, and we're talking with South Summit to help them. That's why we are here too. To connect the global ecosystem, and South Summit, we believe that is really important to do that, and to put our state in the global innovation ecosystem, and to bring a part of this ecosystem to the south of Brazil too. That's the point that I'm doing that now.
Cool. Sergio, in addition to you giving your time, for example, for the SoftBank Operator School, where you share your knowledge with amazing people that want to start companies, what else are you doing personally to support entrepreneurship in LATAM?
Yeah, many things. Laura, I think that when I came to Brazil, the ecosystem was like it was desert. I mean, there was like really not that many things, not that many opportunities. But I remember going back to the Endeavor thing. I remember Endeavor opening up the doors for me. That was back in 2013 when I had a team of 5 people. They really supported me like a lot. And since then, I became like a huge fan of them. I'm in the board of Endeavor in Brazil, in the board of Scale Up Ventures, which is the Endeavor fund for early stage companies that we are supporting, like a new type of fund for those early stage entrepreneurs. I'm in the board of another 3 companies that I support together with the HBS Angel Group as well. And I've personally been doing like a lot of angel investing. It's like now it's 95 investments. Some are good, some are great, some are bad, some are terrible. But I think that at the end of the day, we don't really make angel investments because we want to make money. This is just like an accident. You do it because you really can contribute to those guys. And I think that even more important, I really learn much more than what I actually teach in those cases, in those occasions. The ability of like taking ideas from certain sectors and reapplying them into your own business, even if it has nothing to do, I think it's wonderful. And some of the best ideas that we actually came up with internally come from those type of mentorships that I've been doing to other people. Obviously, I love to contribute there to the Operators Academy and many other things. But I think that the important thing that is going on in Latin America, and this is happening like most of the countries in the world, is that entrepreneurs, they love to talk to each other. they love to support each other. It's a lonely profession. You just like you're just there and you just want someone to understand you, and it's sort of like therapy among entrepreneurs, which is super important. And it's amazing how you really can build something just putting together interesting minds.
Yeah, I was talking with one of the companies that our opportunity fund just invested, and this company has already been invested by Tiger, by us. And the thing that they were most passionate about sharing with me is that in the initial seed round, they have 25 different founders from Latin American companies that had invested in them, small checks. So for them, that's what was pride and what was making them excited and really pushing them to move forward. So that's really good. So we're running out of time, so let me close it with Martin. What have you done personally to support entrepreneurs, and maybe just to close with some advice for everyone who wants to invest in venture capital in Latin America?
Okay, I have invested in some companies, but I know if this is... But I do a lot of mentorship. I like a lot the one-to-one, when you are in startup, at the very beginning of your business, to discuss about your ideas. Sometimes you feel very alone in that process. I like doing that a lot. Other thing that I did a lot is in education. We have invested a lot in, I think that online education is a fantastic way to let a lot of people learn, about this business. And these are the two main. Also, I'm part of Endeavor, but I think that the mentorship part is very important. It's to have that very honest, with no second intention about what are you doing, how you feel. That happens to me at the same moment that you are living today. I think that's very important. I think that if I can share a word about being entrepreneurial, is that today, if there is a problem that you would like to fix, doing a startup is an amazing way to make that happen. I'm feeling that years ago, every smart guy wanted to be in the financial sector.
Yeah.
But today, I think that a lot of that smart boys or girls, of course, want to be an entrepreneur. And I think we can make a lot of interesting things out of that. And we can fix a lot of things. We can put together all that smart people, trying to fix the problems that we're living today, like sustainability, inclusion, diversity, hunger. Name it, no matter what you name, I think that's the opportunity that we're in front of.
No, absolutely. And that part that you mentioned about mentorship is key. And I think we now forget that everyone is accessible, right? So either you can tweet at them, send them an email through LinkedIn, but everybody's accessible, and everybody who has already gone through this process wants to give back, and wants to give back a lot of it through mentorship. So just make sure that everybody takes advantage of that. And definitely in the region, the opportunities are immense. And one of the things that one of our managing partners says is, Latin America is not only about disruption, it's about inclusion. And I think that's one of the key things that we want to leave everyone with. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.